Greetings students, welcome to grade 12 mathematics class. Today we'll cover unit 5, which is mathematical application in business. This will be an interesting topic because business and economics are very important to our daily life, especially business. So we're going to learn how to apply mathematics in our day-to-day business activities. So the unit outcomes are, so by the end of this unit, you will know common terms related to business. You know basic concept in business. You understand time value of money. This is the value of money as time goes by. And finally, you apply mathematical principles and theories to practical situations. So this chapter is divided into 4 sections. The first one is basic mathematical concept in business. The second will be time value of money. Third will be saving, investment, and borrowing. And the last one will be taxation. And at the end of the unit, we'll do a review exercise. So now let's look at some of the keywords from this chapter. We'll talk about equity financing, and inverse proportion. So inverse proportion is like a relationship that shows when one quantity goes up, the other one goes down. We'll look at the present value of money. We'll look at rate. Rate means speed. We'll also look at amortization. It's a very important finance topic. We'll look at appreciation. This is when a value of something goes up. We'll look at compound interest, simple interest, principal, ratio, tax, annual interest rates, percentage, proportion, investment, and future value of annuity and depreciation. Okay, now let's start with 5.1. 5.1 is basic mathematical concept in business. So the objective of this subtopic is to introduce you to mathematics and how it's related to business. So we'll look at some of the key concepts in this subtopic. So the first subtopic will be ratio, which is 5.11. So let's start by defining ratio. So ratio is simply a comparison of two numbers by division. That's the simple definition. So if you have A over B, it means A ratio to B. So it can be expressed in 3 formats. So you can either do A over B, or you can do A divided by B, or you can do A to does B. So this means A into ratio to B. So remember, you have 3 formats. So most of the time we use the third one, A into B. So you have A, 2 dots, and B. Okay, now let's look at one example to show how ratio is calculated. So example 2 says the following table gives the number of teachers in a given school according to their education level and sex. What is the ratio of female diploma holders to the number of teachers in the school? Okay, B says what's the ratio of diploma holders to degree holders in the school? So we'll do this on the whiteboard. So question A says we have to find what's the ratio of female diploma holders. So I'm gonna put female diploma holders like this to the number of teachers. So to the total teachers. So the number of female diploma holders are 16, right? And the total number of teachers are 100. So the ratio will be 16 to 100. So this one I can simplify it further. By 4, this becomes 4. 100 divided by 4 is 25. So the ratio is 4 to 25 in a simplified form. So the ratio of female diploma holders to the teachers is 4 to 25. And B says, what's the ratio of diploma holders to degree holders in the school? So you look at diploma holders over degree holders. I'll put degree holders. So the number of diploma holders are 48, and the people who hold degree are 58. So if you simplify this, it becomes 21 over 29. So the final ratio will be 21 to 29. So this will be correct. Okay, now let's look at equivalent ratios. Equivalent ratios are ratios which have the same value. For example, 12 over 8 is equivalent to 6 over 4. Why? Because if you divide both by 2, it gives you 6 over 4. If you further simplify 6 over 4 by 2, it gives you 3 over 2. Okay, now let's look at a different kind of ratio where you have 3 ratios and you are supposed to divide an amount based on the ratio. Okay, example 3 says allocate 1,500 birr into the ratio 2, 3, and 7. So let's do this on the board. We are given with this data. So you have 1,500 birr, and you have to divide it into a ratio of 2, 3, and 7. So to do this is what we start. So our solution starts from here. First, you add all the ratios, so 2 plus 3 plus 7. And when you do this, you have 12. So you do this first. The second step is you take the total amount of money and you divide it by the sum of the ratios. And this becomes 125 birr. So the third step will be you multiply this by their respective ratios. So you do 2 times 125, and the value will be 250 birr. Second, you do 3 times 125, and the value will be 375. And finally, you multiply 7 by 125, and the answer will be 875. So based on the ratios, they will get this amount of money. The first one will get 250 birr, second one will get 375, and the last person will get 875. So when you add this, obviously they have to give you this amount. Okay, so we just divide them based on the ratio. Okay, now let's look at rates, which is 5.12. So the objective of this content subtopic is to explain what a rate is, and we'll also use some examples to understand rates. So rate basically means speed, right? So rate and speed, they mean the same thing. For example, a best example of rate is speed of a car, right? So if you look at the equation, you have rate distance traveled by time taken. So example is the distance 60, time is 1, so you have 60 kilometers per hour. This is an example of a rate. So rate is also an example of ratio, because remember ratio, like we get them by dividing 2 or more quantities, right? So in this case, we are dividing distance by time. So it's an example of ratio. Okay, so let's do one example for rates. Example 1 says Adana scores 12 goals in 4 Ethiopian Premier League games. Express in lowest terms the average rate of number of goals Adana scored per game. So the rate would be, he scored 12 goals, it would be the numerator, and he has out of 4 games, right? So you have 4 in the denominator. So if you divide 12 by 4, you get 3 goals per game. So Adana scored an average rate of 3 goals per game. So ማለት ነው በየጌሙ 3 ጎል አስቆጠረ ማለት ነው። So that's his rate. አንድ ጌም ሲኖር 3 ጎል፣ ሌላ ጌም 3 ጎል እያለ ይቀጥላል ማለት ነው። So now let's look at rate of change. The same concept ሆኖ ግን now we will look at the change ይገባበታል ማለት ነው። So in this case, rate of change is defined by the final amount minus the original amount divided by the original amount. Okay. So we'll do one example. So example 2 says the following. The average price of Yirga Cafe coffee for November was about 1,277 birr per 17 kilogram. In 2019, Yirga Cafe coffee was traded on average of about 1,780 birr per 17 kilogram. What's the rate of change in the price of 1 kilogram of coffee from 2018 to 2019? So here we're asked to find the rate. So the solution starts by filtering out the information. So first, we put the rate of change as equal to the amount of change, which is the final amount minus original amount divided by original amount. So the original or the final amount minus the original amount. When you subtract that, it means 1,780 minus 1,277, it gives you 503. So that divided by the original amount, which was 1,277. So when you divide that, you get 0.394. And this is equivalent to around 39%. So this is how you calculate rate of change. So remember, rate of change, you take the final amount minus the original amount divided by the original amount.